a beatboxer. It was just one of those things that popped up in my head.
Okay. All righty.
I was like, what's that?
That
I
is
knew it was next.
awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, Shatriya, I'm so thankful that you came and graced us here with this experiment of a podcast and coming on here. And part of this whole thing that we do is that I do is like it's actually kind of summed up in this room. Like right here is the Levitt amp. We got this by our work for community involvement in the church with Levitt amp. Loving God and loving people, and then the center of the arts. This is an artist at our church, and so just kind of those three intersections, and just this love of downtown and having meaningful conversations. And so glad you're here. But before we get going, first question: what is your favorite restaurant in Springfield? Like, if you're like, hey, I need to smash down on some food, what's your favorite restaurant? And why?
Okay, so that's very difficult because I'm a foodie and I do like really a lot of different restaurants,
Okay.
right? When you say love, I love food.
Okay.
Right, in general. My favorite restaurant is my house because I
Okay.
feel like I'm a really good cook. But outside of that, I do... currently right now, the sandwiches at Whimsy Tea are my jam.
Is that downtown?
Yes.
Okay.
Whimsy Tea, they just got a new oven and they've been like doling out the cookies and the snacks and the sandwiches.
Okay.
Just,
So what sandwich are you getting?
well, most of them, they have a roast beef sandwich that is phenomenal. They do have soups there as well, and it is soup season.
Yeah, it is soup season.
But I think the last one that I had was like a turkey with bacon and Gouda cheese, and I had some hot spicy mayonnaise on the side.
Okay.
Oh, I'm still dreaming of that sandwich right now.
Okay. Better than Head West.
Not better.
Okay.
Just different.
Just
Because
different.
nobody can beat the bread at Head West.
It's legendary in
It is
Springfield.
legendary. When it comes to pizzas, that's hard because there's so many wonderful
Pizzas?
Oh.
I can't even get on the pizza because pizza's an appetizer, and like it is called what it is. It's bread with cheese, and it's just an appetizer.
Right.
And
I
so I'll
can
have
go
like
with that.
17 slices.
I don't know if I can have that many, but
Oh, I can.
Anvil and Forge has
Oh.
phenomenal pizza.
I've never been to their establishment.
Their sauce is a little saucy for me, so I do the margarita with
Like the red,
red
sauce.
white.
You know what? You can go a little too red on, like too much red sauce on a pizza and absolutely ruin it.
Yes.
You really can.
Yeah.
Or it goes too little, and then you're like, "Is this cardboard?" So.
Right, right. Well, the bread is quite delicious too. So even if it's cardboardy, it's delicious and tasty cardboard.
Okay.
So that is definitely one of my favorite downtown pizza places. Although I did just have lunch at La Piazza.
Yeah, that's a quality establishment
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's my diet pizza.
That's your diet, yeah. Because it's like a third of what you would
Right.
imagine a pizza is, right? It's
Correct.
light, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, first thing, I want to have you put your microphone out so people can hear your wonderful voice.
Oh, I've never had a problem with people not hearing me.
Okay. You are kind of a local public figure in Springfield, I would say. I moved here 3 years ago, and maybe it's because I saw you leading a poetry workshop at Buzz Bomb Brewery. I kind of just saw you speaking out on kind of Sonia Massey and just kind of being very vocal. And so I kind of see you as I think other people also see you as kind of a local advocate and a local figure. And so kind of today, like two things I'd like to just really zero in on, because there's probably so much we could get into, but one would be your advocacy against racism. And the second would be your work as a poet. because those two things are deeply important work for such a time as this. And so you are working currently as the executive director of the Garvey-Tubman Center for finish that.
Garvey-Tubman Cultural Arts and Research Center.
Okay, I knew there was two C's in there, and I was
Yes.
getting them mixed up. But you are working for the Garvey-Tubman Cultural Arts and Research Center.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about what you do, but then I also want to peer into your work of advocacy against racism here in Springfield.
Okay, so again, Shatriya Smith with the Garvey-Tubman Center. We provide services in the community that basically stimulate cultural creativity for young kids between the ages of 5 and 13 by teaching them how to make things out of recyclable and non-recyclable material with a cultural caveat. Then they turn around and sell that material and keep the proceeds in their pocket, because Marcus Garvey was about making sure that young people, or people in general, were self-sustainable financially.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So that's a Garveyite mission that we have. We also do older activities with teenagers, training programs so that they can help us with mentorships with the younger kids.
Okay.
And a volunteer program for 18 and above for people to participate in assisting and helping and cultural activism, learning, growing. We support education.
Okay.
The STEAM, right?
Yeah,
We want to support the STEAM, but we're more into the arts and the African American history aspect of it. There's a lot of things that are not shared educationally to our young kids. And we feel that if they're introduced to their greatness, they know what kind of greatness that they can see from themselves in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's this willful scrubbing of Black history. Like our nation, we willfully scrub Black history, and we have for centuries. And I think that's a great stain in our nation. And I'm so glad of the work that you're doing and bringing that greatness to life. You know, part of my wife and I, our oldest son is Black, and one of our deep prayers is that he would be a strong Black man and feel confident about that, because we've been in places where people, here's what we learned in working in churches. People are okay with little Black babies. They're not okay with strong, vibrant Black men. And so that was one of our big reasons of moving to Springfield, is like, we want all of our kids to celebrate that. So
that's a wonderful, wish to have for him. And the fact that you have that wish means that it's going to happen.
And we want that wish for our church too. We want
Right.
that prayer for our church as
Yeah.
well, as that people would see strong Black men and women leaders in our community, in our church, and people to look up to. So yeah. And in fact, actually, when I step away from the pulpit, I'm very mindful that we have Black women come and preach at our church, because that's a voice that needs to be cultivated.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, as you fight against racism here in Springfield, and probably in general in your life, what story or what image or what has shaped you for this work of advocacy?
Well, we can start with my own internal issues,
Okay.
right? I born and raised here in Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
In the square, which is between the 11th Delmar Divide, Springfield Divide, of the absolute recognition of the separation of African American people and non-people of color in the Springfield area. In St. Louis, it's called the Delmar Divide.
Oh.
In Springfield, it's called the 11th Street, or Reconciliation
That's
Way.
what Christy Walden said. Yeah.
And I agree with her completely.
Okay.
Because there was a time in Springfield's history where we were mostly housed on Jefferson and Washington. Excuse me. And a lot of Black businesses and Black community was right there because the police department was there, the train depot was there, the bus stops were right there. And everybody that was coming into town, Irish immigrants, they were all kind of located in that Jefferson, Washington area.
Okay.
And then my family got here in the 1940s, and we moved to the east side. The majority of the African American people found refuge on the east side.
Not the north side.
Not the north side.
Okay.
It was mostly on the east side. There was some north side, transportation, because we were actually able to get to the swimming pool via the north side. The black swimming hole was that direction. So, but mostly all of the east side was designated, and it was like unincorporated at the time. There was not a lot of buildings over here. A lot of people in the 1908, 1909, they were building makeshift houses. So there were homes, there were developed homes, but there were also like makeshift buildings that people made themselves with their own furnaces and all of these things, that material that they had found, used, and made themselves. So it was an interesting location. And after the 1908 race riots and they bulldozed all of that, there was only a few businesses and shops, and most of the Irish took a lot of that space. The Orpheum Theater, where black people were able to like consummate and hang out together and do all of these fun things. There was the locations that are recognized in the Green Book. They had gas stations and businesses that were doing well. And in the 1940s and 50s, the town agreed with Horace Mann, and they got a TIF district funding and support to build the big the BOS Center.
Okay.
But that meant it took out all of the black businesses that were left downtown. So Teresa Haley's father had a business, a shoe store down there. My grandmother had a hair care space there and a bar.
Okay.
And it was nice, but they were renters. They never owned anything. So it's just pushed back to 11th Street. And then my grandmother started doing hair out of her house in the basement.
Okay.
She was really cool. Ernestine Nix. She was an advocate.
Okay.
And
so there's a lineage of advocacy.
Man, so we got here. My grandmother Tina, she was from the Cairo area and moved up to Springfield. My grandmother Logan, she was from the Mississippi, the Dells. There's a lot of little small towns in Mississippi, and they all they migrated during the end part of the Great Migration after Emmett Till had passed.
Okay.
But my grandma was like, this is crazy. So she moved to Springfield, brought 12 kids.
Oh, man.
And they worked at the St. Nicholas Motel, all of them.
Wow.
And my uncles worked for, all of the hotels, and that's how they made money. And my grandmother sharecropped all of her kids. Basically, you give me all your money, and I give you what you need.
Yeah.
But she was able through that to house everybody and make sure to buy houses and cars and education for all of the kids that wanted it. And she was really a boss lady. And I'm sure she didn't have but a third grade education.
Sure.
Right? But she managed.
She was forging away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if she can do it.
Yeah.
She was the neighborhood grocery store because she had her own garden. And from the Mississippi background, knew how to do your own stuff. So when she found a house with enough land, she was able to make do on all of the vegetables. And so people would come to her and get the greens and the green beans and all of that stuff. So she always made money. She would collect cans for church. She built a church.
Did she really? Which church?
With her funding.
Is it still standing?
Timothy. Second Timothy. It
is that still standing? Okay.
Yes.
I need to go buy that then.
Second Timothy is a fairly new church, but with her cooking Sunday dinners, chicken dinners,
Yeah, yard
collecting
bird.
cans and doing all of these with, community members. She was able to raise enough money that
That's wonderful.
put in so much. And Second Timothy is still open. My family still goes to Second Timothy
Okay.
Church. And so
So you have this advocacy or this lineage of advocacy in your family, but is there like a image or a story that you said that was a defining moment where I knew my voice would be used towards fighting racism?
racism specifically, or standing up just as a
It could be both.
I was
yeah.
a kid.
Okay.
I was in third grade.
Yeah.
And somebody was bullying one of my friends, and I got in their face and I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been standing up for other people, and it didn't really specifically have anything to do with race at that
Sure.
moment. But I think I'm an advocate for
Of people. And
to be
disenfranchised
treated
people. Yeah.
with dignity and respect.
One of the driving, I think I agree with a lot with you in that sentiment. One of the things my mom, when I was playing baseball growing up, the kid who got left out, she would make me invite them over to sleepovers and invite them over to hangouts. And like, it was through her work of seeing the person who was left out and including them that I think shaped me even to this day. And that's just one of the great like blessings of my mom, is that like I have a heart for those who may be left out, because it's wild how our parents and our lineage really shape us in those moments. Well, what gives you hope as you stand up for so what would give you hope as somebody who is an advocate and stands up for all kinds of people? What gives you hope today? Or is there anything that gives you hope today in that?
History gives me hope. Just knowing that we have come through so much and we haven't disappeared, right? Like, we are so resilient as human beings, collectively.
That's right. That's right.
And I see us as ants on the planet, like marching to different drums, but we collectively come together to build things that are important to us.
Yeah.
And make community. So one ant can never do anything alone, right?
Yeah.
It takes a tribe of ants and a collection of those people to come together and make that happen. And that's how we move our destinies.
Collectively?
Collectively.
We move our destinies through collective efforts.
Yes.
That's fire.
Right.
That's really good. Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, it just came out of my mouth.
That's really good. I'm going to use that somewhere else. Like that's in a sermon or something. That's really good. I love that our collective efforts help us move the needle, help us. So what you're saying is like part of what gives you hope is seeing other people standing up to bullying, other people standing up to hate, other people standing up to evil.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can only do that by using my words to like get other people, right?
Yeah.
Or using my efforts to share in that vision. But I can't do it alone, right? My words alone cannot do it. My effort alone cannot do it. But hopefully my effort and my words will get others to participate.
Where do you, so I'm a pastor. So where do you see the church needing to step into that space of standing up for other people? Do you see the churches standing up for other people? And how might the church better stand up for other people?
That is a very good question.
Okay. Well, my wife came up with it. That's why.
Very good question. So let's separate those into small bits, because there's a lot of questions.
There's
in that
a lot
question.
in that one.
I think that churches are very valuable, and I'm so grateful for the teachings and the spirit of the Bible and church when it's used appropriately. Because without it, there would be a lot of lost people that would be led into destruction.
Yeah.
And it gives a wonderful template of blessing and goodness and character building, and just, it gives you the leadership for goodness. So individual churches, I'm a part of the Abraham Lincoln Presidential, I'm sorry, I always get those two mixed up. Abraham Lincoln Unitarian Universalist Congregation.
Okay. Dan Franchi?
No. That is, Dan is over at the Catholics Sisters Church at at the Catholic Church. I am with Martin Wolf.
Okay.
Currently.
Okay.
And I say currently because my spirit moves, and it's not always in the same spot as my spirit is my church.
Okay.
And I carry it with me.
Okay.
But I do love a number of congregations.
Okay.
So I make myself at home in several church locations. But I know that the ALUUC is an activist congregation. Yeah. Martin Luther King applied to be a UU. They weren't ready for him.
Okay.
So he ended up going to his father's church, but there was an application in the UU coffers.
Interesting, because we're American Baptist, and he was an American Baptist, not Southern Baptist, but we really gravitate towards that.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Martin Luther King because I grew up with in that auspice of content of character, not color of skin.
That's right.
And my family, who were from the South and had lived through so many of the issues of racism, they were hesitant about trusting white people. I was like, I want to see what it is. You know what I mean? I want to find out if they're all like that. I was the only one in the neighborhood that would reach out to my white neighbors and be like, why is this? Right?
Okay.
So I was the early integrator in my own community.
Another wonderful set of, your language is so beautiful. Early integrator. Did your family resonate with Malcolm X?
Some. Ooh, I
actually resonate deeply with Malcolm X for his book by Alex Roots, or the autobiography. That's probably my favorite book of all time. Yeah.
So like I said, I have an activist family.
Yeah.
So my uncle is Mbana Cantata, and he is the one that had the Liberation Radio that was international. I have a book called The Rigs that is out now.
Okay.
That has a wonderful expose about him. But he, for years, would highlight, recognize African-American history, struggles, culture, and he was quite against the American government and wanted African-Americans to be liberated from the system of injustice and oppression. He's in our family. Okay. Right? And my grandmother, so all of this going on, back to church. I was raised at the, for the most part, 2 Timothy Baptist Church, and it was my grandfather's church. Follow instructions and don't say a word.
It's a lot of older churches.
Yes, ma'am. No, sir. All of those great things. And
how dare you show any emotion? Yeah.
I was, of course, asked to sing in the choir and do all of these lovely, wonderful things. But the church also, I was afraid to be all of myself. So I started being all of myself elsewhere and kind of pulled away from the church. Had I been able to be all of myself in that church, I would have probably continued to be in that church.
I'm going to say that I'm going to have to sit with that statement, because that is probably the heaviest, most holy statement that you said, and cultural indictment on the church, is that I could not be myself. I could not be all of myself. And if I was not able to do that, I left. And I just want to say, just name this moment. I feel like that's pretty a holy moment that you just gave words to something that a lot of people probably feel. And so I thank you. I thank you for that. This is, and that was a very holy, beautiful moment. So I thank you for that. Continuing on with let me also say, one, just keep advocating in the community, because you have fans like myself that you probably never even really knew was your big fan. And like, I see you on Facebook and advocating for different things, and I'm like, that gives me strength and courage. So thank you for doing the good, honest work. I want to shift a little bit over to your work as a poet, because I do think advocacy and poetry actually go hand in hand, because it is the mastery of language and to speak to things. And so just share a little bit about your story of becoming a poet.
Again, it's family. My grandmother Tina introduced me to Paul Laurence Dunbar, and you'll hear this story in a lot of my, interviews.
Yeah.
Tina is, she pulled me out of a real struggle. And so it was interesting, because I didn't think, I thought people cared about me a little bit, but I didn't know what love was for real.
Okay.
And then I, at 16, moved in with Tina, and there was a couple of years that I just had to kind of make mistakes and see what would be the outcome. If you've been hit as a child and then you do something and you just flinch because you know it's coming.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years of living with Tina, it was quite like that,
Okay.
And then after a while, I stopped flinching. And that was such a relief. She was that lady for me. And yes, she was my grandma, but she was also my best friend. She would introduce me to new things. She knew I had a problem with reading, so she started playing Scrabble with me. She knew I had a problem with math, so we would play Yahtzee. Right? Just odd. I didn't know I was learning.
Wow.
She knew I had a really good verbiage, because my mom was a sociology major, and she would cuss me out with the best words, and she would, the biggest 4 or 5 syllable words, you hear me? So I knew how to say those words, but I didn't know what they meant. I didn't know how to use them. So she introduced me to real language, which through Paul Laurence Dunbar and reading his Ebonics work for the first time, it sounded like home, but it looked like French.
Yeah. You have a poem in Ebonics. What's it called? What's the title of that?
I have so many poems.
You have so
at this
many
point.
poems. Okay, yeah.
I have so many at this point. I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones are Ebonics and which ones are not.
That word, is that a phrase you use often? She taught me. I was around her and I just stopped flinching. Is that another phrase that you've used over the years?
No.
Okay.
But it's what happened.
I think that's the hope and prayer for this experience, this podcast, is that people would stop flinching at the church and stop flinching at pastors and the church. And
They got to stop hitting first.
That's true. That's true. I received that.
And it takes a couple of years.
I received that.
Of
you know what? That's
consistent
actually that's an important point, because as a person who is in power, to just be like, hey, just stop flinching, you have to name that there were actually hits that have incurred. And so it's disingenuous. I don't want to say my spirit would be disingenuous, but I have to name the reality that there were blows that happened. So I really appreciate that word. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Making me feel good. Thank you.
Well, as we kind of just wrap up here, you've just done you have such a textured life, such a textured career. 15 years ago, what would you say success is? Today, what would you say success is?
How long ago was 15 years?
I don't know.
What
It's just
year
a
was
random.
That was 2005,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We'll say 20 years ago.
It was still, at that
Yeah.
time, I was working at the Hope Institute for Children and Families, taking care of kids with developmental disabilities,
Okay.
treating people well.
Okay.
And it's still the same today.
treating people well.
Yeah.
Success is treating people well.
Success is treating people well.
I think that is a perfect high note to end on. Perfect. Thank you for stopping by.
I'm glad you had me.
We're not going to shake hands.
Yes, we are. And we're going to
hug. First, we got to tap out the deals.
All right, tap out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. I think there were some really, really holy moments in there.